podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined here, as always, by Brennan and Korey. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yes, sir.
Great to hear. Now, let's just get right into it. Very unfortunately, my Miami Heat did lose to Boston. They had the top three of their players were all down, so I don't know how we didn't expect that to happen. Good for Boston. Finally,
sounds like
Miami.
Excuses.
That was revenge. Last night's game was revenge from Boston
bad.
after Game 7, because Boston was held to 84 points in Game 7 last year by the Heat, and then this year in Game 5 they held the Heat to 84 points. So
they also didn't
revenge.
score above 90 points in 3 straight games. But
okay, that's been kind of a trend across the playoffs right now. But
yes.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it. So obviously we got our 25-minute timer. I asked them multiple questions. They tried to get to 10 points. If they agree on the question, they get a minute to discuss. If they disagree, they get 35 seconds each, and then a minute 30 to hopefully come to reconciliation. Gentlemen, are we ready? Give me a second.
Ready to reconcile.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me double check something. Okay, we are all ready to go. Let me get my questions right next to me. Oh, shoot. Hang on. All right, we're good. Let's start with our favorite sport. I know our favorite sport here is the NBA, obviously. We're just talking about it. Let's go for the first question on the board here. The timer will start as I finish the first question. Gentlemen, what is the biggest reason for the Timberwolves' dominant sweep over the Phoenix Suns? Now let's see.
All right.
Their answers here.
Hold on, I spelled that completely wrong.
Okay.
Okay. I'll give Korey his time now. Go ahead.
Okay, so I said that it's because they're capitalizing on momentum offensively. Obviously their defense is why the Timberwolves are here in the playoffs and doing so well. That's part of their identity that got them here. But what let them sweep the Phoenix Suns is that they are taking advantage in moments that they have high production. And I'm especially talking about Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter of Game 4 here, in the third quarter and fourth quarter. Incredible second half, 31-point second half. But in every single game, the Timberwolves as a team have had a great quarter where they're just leading high above the Suns, and that momentum propels it forward. So taking advantage of that every step of the way is what's giving them the series sweep.
Wonderful.
All right. So, there's a lot of issues with the Suns right now. They can't play defense. They don't have a true point guard. They lack the depth. But none of that matters when Anthony Edwards plays the way he did. We are witnessing a superstar, a top 5 player in the making right now with Anthony Edwards. This dude has the it factor. He is him. 3 30-plus point games against the Timberwolves. He put the offense on his back. Of course, the defense is always going to be great with Minnesota. But they really took advantage of the Suns in the series, and Anthony Edwards is the biggest reason why they won.
Gentlemen, minute 30, go on ahead.
Yeah, Brennan, definitely Anthony Edwards is a really key contributor here. But one of the things that you have to realize is that there were production, especially in these moments that I'm talking about where they pulled ahead in different quarters, that Anthony Edwards wasn't always leading. There were times where Jaden McDaniels is going 3 for 3 in the third quarter and stuff like that. Cat's playing really well. I think just as a team, they see who's playing really well, and oftentimes, sure, that is Anthony Edwards. They give them the ball. They make sure that offensive plays and energy is ramping up. And Anthony Edwards does a great job with leading in energy for the whole team as well.
No,
so
exactly.
It's all about momentum.
But if Anthony Edwards is that guy, then the rest of the team is going to capitalize, build the momentum around him. Sure. There were times.
My question for you then would be, if a guy like Luka Doncic is that guy, why are the Mavs not sweeping the Clippers here? It's because in this series, the Timberwolves are taking advantage of their momentum at every single step, every single time
exactly.
They sweep.
But where does that momentum start with? Who does that momentum start with?
Yeah, that's going to start from Anthony Edwards,
okay.
And it's going to start from Karl Anthony Towns, because that's just the way that their team runs. That's why
exactly.
they're in the playoffs to begin with.
That's how a
good
team.
The reason why they sweep is because of their momentum here. I'm just making sure you understand where I'm coming from here.
No, I get that.
I agree that this team may not even be this team may not even be a playoff team without Anthony Edwards.
I agree. And do you need that superstar on a team built like the Timberwolves?
Yes,
for sure.
But that sweep is all about the momentum, which
sure.
I agree with you comes from energy from Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Alrighty, starting off strong here. Let's bounce to the NFL here because again that's one of our favorite sports here. We just had the draft, but a lot of people are saying that the Michael Penix draft pick is probably a bad move by the Falcons, especially that early in the draft. They already have Kirk Cousins, everything right there. But aside from Michael Penix Jr., which first-round pick surprised you the most? And this could be a good thing or a bad thing. Let's see the answers we have here. We have two different answers. Let's let Brennan go first.
Okay. So I said Brock Bowers to the Raiders, and honestly, outside of the Michael Penix pick, I really don't think there was a lot of bad picks in this in the first round of the draft. So I went with Brock Bowers because the Raiders, they have a lot of other needs they need filled. And I mean, they spent a second round pick on Michael Mayer last year. So they already have a pretty solid tight end. And I guess they were really going with best player available here, which I get in a sense. But at the same time, you needed a quarterback, you needed a running back, offensive line, you could have taken cornerback too. So I just don't really understand the Brock Bowers pick.
All right, let's let Korey go. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I went with Olu Fashanu, and partially the reason why is because I think the Jets could have really benefited from taking Brock Bowers instead, Brennan. I understand why they went for an offensive lineman for their need for blocking as a whole, but I think if the Jets were really trying to step forward with their offensive identity this season, I think Bowers would have made more sense at the tight end. But even with if they're choosing a lineman, I think there were better linemen available, better offensive tackles available. Fashanu, I really like him from Washington, and I also really liked I also really liked the other guy that was available on the board that went like 14.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's give the gentleman a minute and 30 to speak it out.
Fuanga, that's his name. Fuanga.
Yeah. So are you saying that you don't like the Jets pick because it's not the guy you wanted them to take? Because they
okay. What I'm saying is that there were with the position that they were at, there were a lot of options that made more sense. So the question here specifically was what surprised you the most? Fashanu wasn't really entering my mind. Again, I don't think he's going to be a bad player. I liked two better offensive tackles before him.
Right.
I really like Fashanu, and I really like I kind of like Fuanga, but I like him more than Fashanu here. And for the Jets as a whole, I thought Brock Bowers made more sense. I thought that they were going to go tight.
I don't know about that. When your quarterback gets hurt in the first game of the season, 4 snaps in, I think you definitely need to go offensive line. And there was a point in time where Fashanu was projected to be a top 3 pick. And of course, Joe Alt came in, and I think J.C. Latham also went ahead of him in the draft. But
and again,
Olu
I don't think he's going to be bad. I don't think he's going to be bad. I just was surprised by that. Whereas you're talking about Bowers. What options did they really have instead?
They could have traded.
The other offensive tackles.
They had the other offensive tackles. There was, I think, every cornerback in the draft. Yeah, every cornerback, because the defense wasn't taken until late. They could have gone the defensive route.
So the one question I ask then is, you even said best player available at that point was Brock Bowers. So why were you more surprised to get him than somebody who I think made less sense positionally?
Because the Jets needed an offensive lineman. I think Olu was the best.
You think he was better than the other two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
I disagree.
All right. Well, agree to disagree.
That's not where you want to start off the podcast. That is not too great. Let's jump.
I see where you're coming from, though, Brennan.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well,
I
my internet disconnect.
Stressed to agree with Brennan a little bit more there, but I think you both had some good points there. Let's go back to the NBA because again we got the playoffs going. Very excited for that. This is the first time in 2 decades that we're not seeing LeBron, Steph Curry, or Kevin Durant, and after the first round of the playoffs. So there's no 3 of them are going to be in the second round or continuing on. So I think that what this means to me is that this era of the NBA is kind of ending, or at least very soon. We're not going to get there. We're going to get there pretty soon. So in the next 5 to 10 years, who do you think will be the face of the league? I understand this is a very big question, but
Five,
I,
five,
Oh,
5 to 10 years.
Okay.
5 to 10
All right.
years may be how long it takes you to ask that question, Kyle.
Yeah, that was
Shut up.
pretty long.
I was gonna let you go first. Let's let Brennan go first.
All right. So in 5 to 10 years, this was a very tough question. I mean, I thought of a lot of people. I even thought of the guy Korey is going to talk about. But in the end, I went for Victor Wembanyama. So you can't. There's a reason why this guy was hyped up so much. He has the size, he has the ability, he has the defensive ability, the offensive ability to be the next great player in the league. He needs to put on a couple pounds of muscle in there. But once he does, like in 5 years, that's very realistic that we could be talking about Wembanyama. I don't think he's ever. There's a very reasonable chance he's not going to touch like GOAT status like MJ or LeBron. But in terms of face of the league, I think Wembanyama is definitely the guy.
Korey.
Yeah, okay. So I totally understand that. The way that I was kind of reading this question was in the next 5 to 10 years, who are you reflecting back over those last few years of being that guy, being that star? That's why I went with Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks. I think guards are really going to have really been taking off over the last few years in this era here. Wembanyama, incredible player, incredible talent. I would already argue that he is a great player now. But Luka Doncic, we've already seen him have 2 30-plus point per game seasons, and he's going to show more playoff prowess now as they continue to close out this series against the Clippers. So I think they'll take that further into further seasons here, future seasons.
All right. So, I mean, if you were looking back on it, like in the last 5 to 10 years, I mean, especially in this day and age where the point guard the guards especially has become like the position. I mean, you see all these stud guys. Of course, Doncic. You got Dame Lillard at the end of his career, still producing at a high level. My guy, Tyrese Halliburton, even Devin Booker, and oh my gosh, I am totally blanking on the one. But if you're looking back on it, then sure. But the way I looked at this question is, who is going to be the face in the next 5 to 10 years? Yeah, and I don't think there's going.
So I think I get that. I really do think that if I enter 5 years in the future now and I'm looking at the NBA, who is their face of the league, I think it is going to be Luka Doncic, not Victor Wembanyama, because I think Luka Doncic will have a couple of championships. I don't know if Wemby and the Spurs will have that. That's my thing. And the other thing you got to consider is over these last 3 or 4 years, you've really had more of a big man dominated presence between Jokic and Joel Embiid, and I think that is something that they're going to try to stray away from as you look towards more offensive explosion. I also was really considering Anthony Edwards for this spot here.
I was too.
Wembanyama, he's an incredible player. I don't think he has the kind of highlight reel. Well, that's not true at all. He definitely does have highlight reel stuff,
especially in 5 to 10 years from now.
I just really think that championship-wise, you'll have more presence from Luka Doncic. But I think if I'm ranking who the best player is at that time, I think the best player in the league will be Victor Wembanyama.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean,
okay.
All right. So,
okay. Most successful and best, I would want to say.
I think Luka will be the most successful, and if you're going to go in terms of championships, I can get behind that. Luka will probably have more in 5 to 10 years. I mean, the Spurs still need to fix a lot of things on that roster right now.
Set up right now to dominate for the next few years,
but we'll see.
And let's continue on here. Let's go for the Major League Baseball. Mike Trout will be out with a torn meniscus for the foreseeable future. This means he will not have a healthy season besides COVID in 2019. The question now looms: is Trout's career already apex, or is there still a chance for some level of success in Anaheim? And we don't like the yes or no questions here, but I thought this is a very important subject to talk about. And we get two very different answers here. Well, we'll let Brennan go first.
Okay, so I think what this year has shown is that if he can stay healthy, he is still a top 10 player in baseball. Mike Trout, before this, he was playing like his old self. I think he was almost in the league leading for home runs this year. He was producing at a high level. I mean, the Angels aren't the best team in the league, but Mike Trout on that team, he makes the team watchable. He makes the team fun. And I mean, he's still, like I said, he's still top 10 for when he was healthy. And I think people forgot how good of a player he actually was. I mean, this dude was considered for the entire 2010s to be the best player in baseball.
All right, let's let Korey give his piece.
Yeah, Brennan, you definitely did see Mike Trout have a great performance in the games that he played here. But the question is if you go into the NBA and you look at Kevin Durant and you look at LeBron James, they're not winning championships. They're not in winning situations, but they are playing well. Do you consider that their career is currently at its apex? No, you don't. Mike Trout's career may have really apexed a couple of years ago. Really, that contract that he signed is kind of his claim to fame as far as that goes. Mike Trout, he's a great player. He might make some noise in future seasons here. I'm not saying that his career is over, but I do think it has apex as far as that part of the question goes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If Mike Trout, because I think he's only made the playoffs like once or twice with his career with the Angels. If you're considering championships and playoff success in this, like you mentioned with KD and LeBron, do you think that if Trout were to get traded, then his career wouldn't have apex? Like, say he gets traded to the Atlanta Braves or the LA Dodgers or the New York Yankees or something, and he gets off the Angels, because in reality, he's had the same level of success he's had with the Angels his entire career.
Yeah, so I think the problem is that, one, you have the injuries that are holding him back, and two, you have the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim that are holding him back. I think if you put him in a new situation where all of a sudden he is on a team that is the face of Major League Baseball, then sure, maybe his career has an apex. But I currently think from what we are seeing with what we have, yes, his career is going on its decline. He's going to have a few solid moments where people are going to watch and be like, "Oh wow, Mike Trout is playing really well," because that's who he is as a player. He plays really well. But I don't think he's going to compete for a World Series with the Angels. On the Angels. And I don't think, and I really don't know how healthy he's going to stay. So I think he's on the decline. But talent-wise, I agree that he is still at the peak of his powers, but he's still at a strong, successful point of his powers.
Yeah, all right. I can agree with that. He's not going to win anything with the Angels. He needs to get traded.
Yeah,
trade Mike Trout.
Yeah, I think that's a great option. If he gets off the Angels, I think that's an awesome situation.
He needs to stop. He needs to do what Damian Lillard did. Honestly, he needs to finally get out of that situation and go somewhere else. Yeah. Please, Mike Trout.
A quick and easy one, gentlemen. Quick and easy. Which team among the teams that had new jerseys come out, the Jets, Broncos, Lions, Texans, got the biggest upgrade on the uniforms?
See, Korey gonna go the home. Awesome. Okay. All right, bet.
All right, so we said Houston. Brennan, I don't really like the color red that much, but I really like those.
Houston makes it
those
pop.
Clean red jerseys. Dude. They made it look really nice here.
Oh, they did, and I mean the red jerseys. In my personal opinion, I don't even think they're the best jerseys because you have those white ones. The white ones are clean. Absolutely clean. The dark blue are not. Wait, are you talking about
helmets?
Yeah.
With the like different logo.
The color rush. Those are like that powder blue mixed with that navy blue. Oh my gosh.
And one of the issues that a lot of different teams have, especially at the collegiate level, is that the combinations they have from like the lower body to the upper body don't always work. All of these are seamless.
Those are so nice.
They look so great.
I legitimately might go out and buy a Houston Texans jersey, like just because of how cool they look.
I was born in Houston, and honestly, I'm also really liking
these. Might I say, like these arguably might be the best jerseys in football right now, and they haven't even been worn yet.
There you go. I do want to shout out the Broncos throwbacks. Those are also very, very.
The Broncos throwbacks are good.
The Broncos throwbacks are really good, but as far as their like new,
the entire collection,
the mountain collection or whatever they're called, it's okay. It feels a little bit off-brand.
I think it's
rather than being a new brand, I think it feels off-brand.
I think it's an upgrade, but I don't think it's that much of an upgrade.
You guys have 4 points. Yeah. Let's keep a move on. You know what? Let's stay in the NFL. Just in general, who do you think won the draft? Again, it happened recently. Okay. Very excited. Again, softballs here. Let's get into it.
Right.
Okay. We got 2 different answers. Let's let Korey go first.
Yeah, so I said the Chicago Bears. There are a lot of different answers here, a lot of people who do great. But I came into this draft saying that the Bears needed to nail it, and the jury is still out on whether or not they did, or whether or not Caleb Williams is going to be the guy that he was hyped up to be. But on paper, they did an incredible job, especially since they also got Dunze. Roma Dunze, I think he should have gone before Neighbors at the wide receiver position. I'm surprised that he didn't. And he's a really complete wide receiver. You don't see this kind of duo of a quarterback receiver that you have now. I think the fact that Chicago got it, along with good positional players in the later rounds, is awesome.
Alrighty, let's let Brennan go ahead.
Yeah, so like Korey said, you can't really judge winners and losers right now because the guys haven't played. But one team that I think nailed this draft as of now is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every pick they made just screams Pittsburgh Steelers football. Troy Fautanu, he's going to make an immediate impact on that offensive line, one of the biggest needs of the Steelers. And they go out and they also get a center in Frazier, who's also going to make an immediate impact as well. Rebuilding the trenches screams Pittsburgh Steelers. Logan Wilson, a steal in the late rounds. I think I had him mocked going in the first in one of them. So what they did, solidified the trenches, continue with the strong run game. Steelers, great draft.
Minute 30, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to, I already said I love Fountain as a player. Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to West Virginia's Zach Frazier. They have great offensive linemen to pair with their new quarterback options in Pittsburgh. I think they're really building their roster. Like, if these were free agent pickups, I would think, oh, wow, they're doing a great job of building their team. And the fact that they got that out of the draft is a huge thing. But that being said, I think talent-wise, offensively, Chicago really made a very quick, just new team out of this draft just through those 2 first-round picks. So that's why I said the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, talent-wise, for sure. I mean, obviously the Bears had the first pick. Caleb Williams is a much better prospect, same with Rome Odunze, than Fautanu, because that's just how it goes. I mean, you had the 9th pick, and you had the first overall pick. So, talent-wise, the Bears probably did have a draft. But in terms of what the Steelers did in that division, addressing what they needed, I
really think I am going to agree with you on the front that the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they've built their roster to be like a more complete roster.
Yeah.
Whereas Chicago is just making a new roster, which we already knew was going to happen, and we still don't really know if it worked because we haven't seen these players start.
Exactly.
But the Steelers have built a roster here that is perfect for them, and I think it's going to be awesome. So I do agree that they're winners out of this draft.
Awesome. Perfect.
I agree with a lot of what you just almost said, especially when talking about my Pittsburgh Steelers.
So shout out to them. They had the draft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's bounce back to the NBA. I know. Brennan is watching the game right now, but I went.
Actually, yeah. If you keep seeing me turn my head, it's because I'm watching it.
He's watching the Bucks game right now, and if the Bucks do lose this, there's a perspective shift, I think, at the very least, for what exactly is the next step forward for the Bucks. So what do you think? Let's see what the gentlemen say.
I disagree.
Okay.
Disagree? Let's let Korey go.
Yeah, so I said team bonding sessions, meaning that this is the team that they're going to have going forward. Or at least it should be. They came in this season, and whether you like it or not, this was an experiment. The Damian Lillard experiment was an experiment. They need to let it, especially since they just got a new coach midway through the season too with Doc Rivers. They need to let this relax a little bit. And they have way too much money on their payroll to really completely reevaluate their roster here, like Brennan wants to do. And they have time to make trades later after this season, since players are on for 2 or 3 years. I think you stick around, make it happen.
All righty. Brennan, go ahead.
All right. So I said I think they seriously need to reevaluate what they have. So if they lose, this will be back-to-back years where they lost in the first round to a lower seed. And this would also be back-to-back years where Giannis was not fully healthy or that he hasn't played. Because if they lose tonight, then he would not have played in the first round. And if they win tonight and lose Game 7, then maybe he plays. But we don't know. But you also got to consider, was losing all that defense really worth it for Damian Lillard? I mean, the offense was great, but that defense was not particularly good until Doc Rivers got there. And then you also got to look at Doc Rivers. Is he really the answer? And how much say should Giannis have in choosing a coach?
Brennan, you talk about like defense and stuff. That's not reevaluating a roster. That's reevaluating how you use your roster, because you already had Brook Lopez, who was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and Giannis, who was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I think you just need to retool this roster to make sure that you're capitalizing on the guys you have. Those are problems that can be solved without changing out things. And also, my question to you, how are they going to change out their roster? How are they going to do this if they have all of these players on contract?
Trade them. I mean,
Who
get your draft
trade?
picks.
Who are you going to trade?
I'm sure there's a
Are you
team.
going to trade Chris Middleton, who's doing really good in this playoff series? I think that's another thing. You talk about Giannis not being fully healthy. If anything, Giannis not being healthy proves that when he comes back, they have the weapons available to make this work. Because
I know,
Chris
but this
Middleton's
is
making
now
it work. Bobby Portis is making it work. This can work if they give it another year here. And Damian Lillard is on contract for at least 2 more seasons, probably 3 more. I think, and Chris Middleton's around for another 2 years. I think you got to stick with what you have here. I fully disagree.
So if you want to retool, but team bonding sessions, is that really? Because
that was just a joke of just being like, hey, you need to stick with what you have and just grow. I was joking about the team bonding sessions.
All right, I think I can get behind a retool, but I think they need to look at what was working, what was not.
Yeah, and maybe there's a couple of roster changes. Maybe you can get a backup center to take off minutes off of Lopez. But I think the core that you have is what you need to stick with.
All right.
All right. I will give. I think that's 6. I believe
that's 6. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you guys an untimed down here, as I always do, and we'll finish off with some hockey. We love hockey here. What must the Maple Leafs do to fully exercise their demons against the Boston Bruins? Which just means, what's the biggest thing for them to do to come back down 3-2? Because they have the history of playing Boston and losing always. Haven't beaten them however long. Mm-hmm. So let's see what we got here. All right. We'll let Korey go first here. Let's let Korey go first.
Yeah, so one of the biggest difference makers that you saw in Game 5 was Joseph Woll coming back to be the goalie here. And Toronto as a team, they just were not playing defensively that well in this series. And even with that being the case, they're still in this. So they're allowing 3 goals per game in this series. If Joseph Woll can come in, continue to lead and keep this momentum high for the rest of it, really frustrate the Bruins, but because the Bruins probably came into this thinking they were going to be a little comfortable with their opponents, and they started off a little bit comfortable. But now that Toronto has this defensive prowess, and they can keep that going on, then that's going to be the difference maker.
All righty. Brennan, go ahead.
All right, so defense is certainly a part of it, but I think what they need to do is what they did in the first period of that last game, which is dictate the pace of play and be aggressive. They're going to be without Matthews, so they need to control the puck as much as they can. In their last game, in the first period, they held Boston to 3 shots. I mean, that's great defensively too, but it also shows you that they had possession of the puck. They made shots. And, I mean, Boston did get it together in the second and third, but it wasn't enough. All right? You got it. And you got to make Swayman be the hero again, because eventually he's going to concede goals like he did in overtime last game. And without Matthews, they need to keep possession of the puck, not make any mistakes, and don't let Boston take advantage of them.
Minute 30, and then you guys are going to the speed round.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is that you can definitely dictate the pace of play by frustrating the Bruins defensively. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a key thing. But the other thing I ask you is if Toronto doesn't have good defense, if they're not stopping these goals from coming in, then is just dictating the pace of play, them leading the thing, is that going to win them the series?
No, not at all. But
exactly.
But with the defense, I mean, defense is important, but if you don't let them have the puck, then they're not going to be playing defense that much. I mean, and you also, like I said, you got to make Swayman be the hero. Take a bunch of shots, whatever you need to do. He's going to concede at some point. And I mean, defense is a part of the game too, right? Like you can't sure. And that's why I said they need to be aggressive. They can't make mistakes.
Yeah, I think I do understand where you're coming from on the terms of aggression and offensive aggression as far as that goes. But I really think that with a team like the Bruins, I think you're going to benefit from really just holding down the fort defensively, and then they're going to fall apart themselves. I think that, and then that's where you can easily kind of dictate the pace of play.
Okay.
So that's where I come from that.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I mean, what Boston does really well is they always choke. I mean, they choked to the Panthers last year, and it looks like they're doing the same thing again.
And so, you can choke by getting frustrated from not making these goals. So I think that all starts with the goalie.
Okay. So.
So they end off with, I think, 7. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 7 points for the gentleman here. Nice job. So we will go on to the speed round, and I think the speed round is really, really funny. So what I have for you, gentlemen, I have 5 players. I have 5 who played or are currently playing for the Milwaukee Bucks, and I have 5 that are currently playing or have played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, what I need you to tell me is if they're a Buck or a Buck.
You should have added the Pittsburgh Pirates to this too. Make it the
Yeah,
Bucks,
you
Bucks,
should
and
have added
Bucks.
the Bucks too.
Come on, bro.
That would have been too easy. I feel like that would have been way too easy.
I was watching the playoff game Tuesday night. Yeah, it was Tuesday night, and the amount of "Let's Go Bucks" chants I heard. I was like, PNC Park is never going to hear this.
Not for a while.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All
right.
So I'll just say some random dude's name. You got to tell me if he's a Buck or a Buck. You got to get 3 of these 10. Roberto Aguayo.
Do you recognize him from the Bucks?
So, is that a football player or is that a basketball player?
He sounds like a football player.
I think he sounds like a football player.
Okay.
I really don't know that much about the Bucks history, but I don't think this is a guy I would have completely forgotten about if he was in the NBA recently. So he definitely wasn't in the NBA recently. I think he was an NFL player. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
All right, let's go Tampa Bay.
All right. So you guys saying Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's a 1 point.
Right.
Guys.
Let's go.
I thought that would throw you off because that's not a very American name. And I thought you would have said, "Oh, it's a Spanish name or it's a whatever name."
Well, there's really not. Unfortunately, there's not a ton of Spanish presence in the NBA either.
Or so.
Sure, but also
if this was MLB,
if you said Pittsburgh Pirates, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think I would have.
I think Brennan would have known.
I would have known.
Pirate,
yeah.
Exactly.
That's my team.
Famously, I think he was drafted
in the
second or the third round of the draft, and I think he got cut like 2 years later. All right, so you guys have 8 points.
Okay, wow.
Let's go to the next one. I have a list of 10 people's names, so I'm just choosing randomly here. Let's go AJ Green.
He's a Milwaukee Buck.
AJ Green is a Milwaukee.
He's a Milwaukee Buck right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not.
Exactly.
AJ Green, football. AJ Green did not play for the Buccaneers. He played for the Bengals and the Cardinals.
He's a Milwaukee Buck.
Yeah, it's Milwaukee Buck. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Immediately. That is correct. Again, I thought that would trick you because there is a guy who played in the NFL named AJ Green.
Oh yeah.
He was a pretty good NFL player.
I was like, neither. Like it's.
No, he's on the active roster right now, right? Like, yeah, I think he's just playing.
I thought I dug deep enough that it maybe would not have been very notable. That's okay.
Yeah. All right, one more, Korey. Here we go.
Let's continue on here. Larry Sanders.
That sounds familiar. Typically, if things sound familiar to me, it sounds like a basketball player. But okay. I would like to hear your input, Brennan.
To me, I kind of lean football, but you could be right because when I think of Sanders in football, Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, a lot of football players named Sanders.
Yeah, it could be another trick coming in from Kyle.
But
he's picking the Sanders to.
But if it sounds familiar to you, I'll trust you on this one. I'll go. Well, I think if you want to go Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks.
I think he's a Milwaukee Buck.
All right, let's go Milwaukee Bucks.
Buck or a Buck, Brennan?
Milwaukee.
He's a Milwaukee Buck.
He's a Milwaukee Buck.
That is correct, gentlemen. You guys have hit.
Let's go.
3 for 3 on Bucks or Bucks.
Wow.
Let's go.
We know our Bucks.
That's a great game. I loved that, Kyle.
Gentlemen, I thought I had a covered plan. Again, I have 10 names in front of me. I just chose randomly there. Yes, that was what I was going for. You guys caught on immediately. I was going for the Sanders bit. Dang, wow. Okay, well then, there you go. You guys hit 10 points. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
That was fun, Kyle.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was good.
Reminds me of a game in a completely different sphere that's popular on like TikTok, which is whiskey or boat.
Cake or real item.
Yeah, cake or real item. Yeah. That's fun.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
The inspiration from that came from BDG. I love them. They're a great sports channel. All right, well, there we go, gentlemen. You guys have hit 10 points. You guys have escaped a punishment that none of us have even done yet. That's fine. I've been your wonderful host, Kyle Pritchard. Go El Hito, gentlemen. Say your final last.
Hey,
Go
Brennan, you
What's
posted
up?
something on the Instagram today.
I
You
did
wanna
post something
unload?
today. We are going to be introducing Banter Ball live to this YouTube channel. We're going to be live streaming a bunch of sports games, just live content, interaction stuff. Maybe we'll get like some full live streams of Kyle doing those Bucks or Bucks quizzes. You know, maybe Jets or Jets, Kings or Kings, Rangers or Rangers.
The goal
Like,
for this is really for it just to be us hanging out. We can
Mhm.
talk about whatever you guys want to talk
Yep.
about, because obviously on this format here, what we're trying to give you,
It's very
little
structured,
sports,
and we
very
can't really
structured,
go in depth a lot of the time. So we want to give you a more in depth experience with Banner Ball, and by doing this, I think it's a great way to do it. Who knows? Maybe we even start streaming some video games on there. Who knows? We'll see where we go here from it. But Banter Ball Live is coming to YouTube. We'll give you more details once we iron it out a little bit. But keep in mind, Banter Ball Live is coming very soon to YouTube.
And regardless, gentlemen, next week. So there you go. So we're getting.
Yeah. What next week?
in person.
Yeah.
In
person for the first time.
Kyle
Awesome.
Pritchard, joined by Brennan and Korey. We will see you guys next week. Heyo.
See ya.
Bye.